All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back
Yes.
to Blackout.
Yes.
Blackout hour has come. This is a show that we have unfiltered and uncut, myself and Ian. And it is something that was birthed to, have more liberal views on things and not just talk about stocks and real estate all day, right?
hmm
Because we do talk about business topics, but we wanted to have more insight on our personal views, right? So we created a show called Blackout, and it's been well received.
Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Got to tell the truth. And even some of these conversations we have, they are still amazing business lessons inside of them. So thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate it. And tonight's going to be a lot of fun.
Nah, for sure, for sure. So first and foremost, Blackout is not suitable for children. This episode might be suitable for children because we're going to be
Probably.
a lot of different, we got our guy Royce the 5'9" coming on a little later. We're going to be talking about hip hop music and how it could potentially be detrimental or not.
hmm
And we're gonna be talking about some other topics, but usually it's not really suitable for children, sensitive men, or entitled women. That's kind of the tagline.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that is the vibe, man. That is the vibe. Ian, talk about the Red Panda Stock Club.
Yes. If you guys want to get rich from the market, I called Tesla dropping to 138 and some change about 45 days ago. Shout out to those of you who shorted it. So if you want to get rich from the market, know what to invest in long term, know where to get out. I've made you money. Please put yes in chat for social proof. Go to eninvest.com. Follow me on Instagram at the Master Investor. Join redpanda.com so I can help you get rich from the market. Investing is not difficult as they make it seem to be, especially if you have great guidance. So join eninvest.com. Come get rich with us from a long-term investor, and let's have some fun.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And before we start the show, make sure you get your tickets to InvestFest.
Yes.
InvestFest.com. We'll be announcing guests pretty soon, but we're working on another one. Let's just say that a lot of names in the hat. You never know what could
That's gonna be good.
Then we got a bunch of other stuff that we're gonna be doing outside of just big name speakers. And EYL University. Make sure that you sign up to EYL University. Troy teaches a options masterclass every month. His next one will be next Thursday. So that's something that people really get a lot of insight and information from. So those option classes have become pretty legendary. So
yeah,
you joined one.
Yeah, I was on last month. That was a lot of fun. I got to come back again. So maybe before InvestFest,
for sure.
We can do something.
For sure. So let's get this show started. It's a topic that I wanna talk to Royce about later on to get his opinion on. But
Okay.
Since we're in this Kendrick Lamar Drake situation, right? Let's start there.
Okay.
K-Dot dropped his record yesterday.
Mhm.
It has 6 minutes long, and it has a lot of different reference points to different things in nature. So I want to talk about one particular aspect of it, but before that, let's just get this out the way early, right? Let's get this out the way early.
Thank you.
What's your scorecard on this battle so far?
It's a tie to me. I like the diss. It wasn't a knockout punch that everyone is saying that it was. It wasn't Ether. It wasn't Hit 'Em Up. It wasn't Beans on the radio going at Jada. But I'm glad he replied. Shout out to the boy. There was a couple personal things he brought up. I was like, and I think he went light for what the record could have been. So I have a 1-1 so far, and I'm sure Drake will reply in 2-3 weeks. And I heard he's locked in. So great record, but he caught a body. It's over for Drake.
No. Nobody.
Y'all hyping that, yo. Stop.
I look at it like, I was talking to one of my friends about this. I look at this like a boxing match, as opposed to Hit 'Em Up, and that was a street brawl.
Straight brawl. Yep.
Ether Takeover, that was a street brawl.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that there's no rules in a street brawl. You're trying to literally hurt somebody, potentially kill them. In a boxing match, you don't. I don't really have a problem with you per se, right? It's just this is my profession. This is what I do for a living. We put gloves on. There's a referee. I'm not trying to kill you, right? I might try to knock you out, but we're tactical.
We're sizing each other up.
It's still some level of cordialness to it, and I feel like that's what this battle is. This battle is a very tactical battle. It's not just I'm going crazy. I'll try to eat your heart. I wanted a little bit more aggressive Kendrick, but I appreciate the song. I think it gets progressively better towards the end. The first 2 minutes with the R&B beat, I think it was Barry White that he might have
Teddy Pendergrass.
Could have done without. I get it. Yeah, I think towards the third, by the time he got to the third beat,
he was cooking.
Crazy. Yeah, he was going because he let it build up. But I personally just like the hardcore bars. So I think it's tied. I think it's tied right now. I don't think either one has landed a knockout blow. If it was me personally, I would just leave it as it is. I wouldn't keep going back. They both have spit a lot of bars so far between Like That, Push-Ups, the AI song, now this song. They've dedicated a lot of bars to each other, right? So I think they could just walk away at this point. It goes.
Kendrick ain't walking away, yo. He said, "I don't like the way you tie your shoes. I don't like your baggy clothes." Like,
Drake don't respond, then Kendrick's not going. You know what I'm saying? If I was Drake, I would not respond. I would just leave it where it's at, and you just because one of the biggest mistakes. And shout out to Hov. He's the Billy Goat of all goats, right? But I think he made a mistake when he made Super Ugly. If
you think so?
Yeah, because that's what they judged Ether off of. And they should have never judged Ether.
That's unfair.
But that's what it was because that was like if he would have just left it at takeover, and just say, okay, it's mixed opinions, right? So it's like at this point, if I'm Drake, I just leave it at push-ups, mixed opinions. Some people are going to say Kendrick won. Some people are going to say Drake won. It's not a clear victory either way. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm good. I can walk away. This goes down in history as a great hip hop battle for the moment. The greatest of our generations went toe to toe. They stood toe to toe a couple rounds. Nobody got knocked out. All right, cool. No harm, no foul. But when you keep going down this rabbit hole, you know what I'm saying? Somebody gonna get knocked out eventually.
Die. Yeah.
Somebody gonna get knocked out eventually. Yeah. So I just think, but what's interesting is, all right, so that's the hip hop side of it. We both kind of agree on this. And like I said, I may try to bring this up with Royce a little later, but there's one particular part of this song that's interesting to me because Rick Ross had mentioned this before, and his right, where they're coming at Drake. His racial identity, right? And Kendrick really dialed down on it, saying like, how many songs with Black artists are you going to do? I don't feel comfortable with you using the N-word. He said it several times, right? He ended the song like, don't say, we don't want to hear you say nigga no more, like 3 different times in a row. And it's interesting because it's like, I don't know where this is coming from, but he's biracial, obviously, right? Yeah. So this brings an interesting conversation that's bigger than hip hop. How are biracial people not accepted in Black culture? Are they not considered Black? Are they not allowed to say the N-word? Who's allowed to say it and when? What's your thoughts on this?
Of course, biracial people are Black. I think Kendrick is finding an angle to attack Drake. But my thing is, you didn't have an issue with him hopping on Black features when he wrote that shit with you.
That's a fact.
So it's like the raw stuff was funny. White boy, khaki pants, all okay, that's cool. But when y'all did all them songs together, why didn't you delete the vocals then? Like, don't make money. It's the thing that I personally hate. Don't make money with me or use my brand to elevate your brand, and then a year later not like me. Don't fuck with me then. Now I do think we have to talk about it on the business side. What is Drake doing wrong to upset all of these people to make them attack his empire? Now, I don't know. I haven't talked to Larry Jackson. I don't know if you have, but the rumblings of him getting percentages off of everybody's label, and I don't know if that's true, but if so, that will cause some reason for conflict. I also think as a man, you can't go mess with everyone's woman. We've had this conversation before, and people are like, why are you bringing this up? There are a lot of things that start wars and start business conflicts that have nothing to do with the balance sheet or product rollout alone. So if he's messing with everyone's girl, at some point somebody's going to be upset about it. But I don't think anybody should say the word, but I think it's crazy to say that if someone is mixed or biracial, they're not black. I think Kendrick was trying to say I'm blacker than you. I'm more pro-black than you. I do more things for our community than you. But what was those grievances when they were doing songs together?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I like Kendrick. He's one of the greatest, but
yeah,
I just don't understand it. I feel like you're black, right? Like police gonna treat you like you're black. If you light skin or if you dark skin, you ain't getting no
pass.
There's no get home free. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
some of our greatest leaders were biracial. When you look at Bob Marley, he's biracial, right?
Yeah.
And extremely light skinned people too. Even Huey P. Newton, very light skinned person. I don't think anybody would consider J. Cole as somebody that's not hip hop culture. He's biracial.
Yeah.
You know, Alicia Keys, one of the greatest R&B singers of our generation. He's biracial.
Barack Obama.
No matter how you feel about him, they treated him like a black man. And
they wanted to cancel him over a tan suit.
I just feel that because Suge Knight had said something where he said that he felt like it was a dangerous narrative that was pushing that, you know, the colorism aspect of it, where it's like, and this isn't just because I'm not extremely dark skinned that I'm speaking like this. But I feel like, because I already know
for clarification,
I already know the comment section, but I feel like colorism is not productive on either side, right? Like a lot of time colorism comes from lighter skinned people that are, you know, racist towards dark skinned people.
Absolutely.
Right? But it could be the same thing when it's dark skinned people that are negative towards light skinned people. That's a non-productive way to go about it. It's not something I think that's helpful or beneficial to our community. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I don't care if you as black as Akon or you look like Colin Kaepernick, you still gonna get treated like a nigga. So if you could say it to me. I don't think, like I said, I don't really be saying it that much because I just think that it's not a productive word.
Yeah.
I don't think that really in a perfect world, nobody should say it, right?
Say it, yep.
But at the end of the day, if you're black at any percentage, or if you're from an environment, like I don't have a problem with anybody saying it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if one, it's hypocritical. I feel like I said, me personally, I'm not using it on my day-to-day vocabulary. But if I was, I don't know how I can criticize somebody else for saying it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm actively using it every single day, you from an environment like Fat Joe, for instance, who's going to tell Fat Joe he can't say it? Like, you know what I'm
especially back in the 92, 93, 94.
People say it on social media, like you shouldn't say it, but they're not from Forest Projects. Like they didn't grow up in the environment. He's from the environment. He literally is grown up. Like look at the pictures from '88. Like he's the only.
He was nothing to play
with these guys. How you going to tell somebody from the environment that's what he grew up in? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's one of these things. But I just felt like that particularly. I don't know. I just feel like that's a dangerous narrative to keep going because Rick Ross said it. Now Kendrick is saying it, and it's a dangerous narrative to keep pushing that. If you biracial, if you light skin, you're not black. I don't really buy that. I don't see it like that.
Who owns a trademark or copyright on the N-word?
I don't know. Is there a trademark or copyright on it?
I want everybody in the comments to go look right now and see.
GA or ER?
Either or.
So somebody,
I always want to get to the business part. Like when something is talked about too much in mainstream media, there's someone profiting off of it. Same thing I talked about with rap and the labels, and I mean, systemic racism is all derivatives of that. So like if a rapper dies and then you get his masters for nothing and the life insurance, and you get to do a benefit concert, but you don't give that money to his mom, I want to follow the paper trail. So I don't know who owns it, but I think it's a discussion that needs to be had around who owns some of these words they tell us not to use when you can't publicly say them on TV or any other media broadcast. So,
and I just think, I don't know, I just feel like nobody should really say the word, but especially I don't think that black people should say the word amongst white people. I think it's embarrassing. And I was never a proponent or fan of that particular aspect of it. I don't think that, like, you saying nigga in front of a bunch of white people, right? Like, I don't think that that's something that is how does that really make sense? Like, how does this really make sense? Like, if you're having a conversation amongst your friends and we understand it, whatever, but we know the history of the word, no matter whether it's GA or ER, we still know the history of it, and we still know how delicate and how uncomfortable it is. So I don't understand why we feel so comfortable saying this in front of people that we don't want. We feel comfortable saying it in front of people that we don't want to say it to us. Right? That doesn't make any sense. So don't say it. If you don't want somebody else to say it, then why are you saying it?
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of rappers, you did a masterful breakdown last week around what made Kanye a dynamic brand. I want to ask you about Elon. They're like spirit animal cousins. Like, what are like 5 qualities you see in Elon that makes him a dynamic brand and like one of the best entrepreneurs of the century?
You see, he checked in China.
Had to. Got to go kiss the ring, get them sales off. I'm not mad at you.
He bugged out in India. He skipped on the India trip, but
yeah,
Beijing calls, answer your phone.
Absolutely.
I think Elon has a unique ability to reinvent himself over and over again, whether it's PayPal, whether it's Tesla, whether it's SpaceX, whether it's Neuralink, whether it's Twitter, now X. He's an entrepreneur that continues to look for new areas that are completely different. All of those companies are completely different of each other, right? PayPal's a payment processing company. Tesla is a car company. SpaceX is a rocket ship company. Neuralink is they put chips in your brain, right?
Starlink broadband.
And then Twitter is a media company. And and OpenAI, which he started, original investor in, is an AI company, right? So he's not afraid to go outside of his area of expertise. That's the key thing that they always tell you in business is don't stay within your area of comfort, right? Even people invest, they say like invest in things you understand, invest in things you know. Don't go too far. But he shatters that and
absolutely
apologetically. So I think that's extremely important. I think that he knows how to drum up controversy, just like Kanye. He knows how to drum up controversy and keep himself relevant. Whether that's, trying to fight Mark Zuckerberg or cursing somebody out on Twitter or saying DEI is for losers or, saying that, anything that he says, right? It's like the Donald Trump method. As long as they're talking about you, that's okay. And then I also feel like he knows how to position himself as such a big force in his companies that his influence alone raises valuations. And that's something that's difficult for most.
Very powerful.
Like I'm saying, like he did with Dogecoin. Right? He did that just for the fuck of it. Like that was just a joke to kind of show you the influence that he had. He billions of dollars of valuation from that coin, from him just playing around, just tweeting, going on side, like, you know what I'm saying? So we talked about this on Market Mondays, even with Tesla, right? Like everything goes down, but then he's like, the guidance is saying that they're going to do better. And it's like so much confidence in Elon Musk that they're like, okay, yeah, listen, the stock
15% that day. Yeah.
He has such a strong presence that he's one of the few people that his presence alone raises companies' valuations. And I think he also knows how to stay relevant in pop culture. That's an underrated thing, but even him like hanging around with Kanye and different people like that, right? Like him with Snoop, him going on Joe Rogan. How many CEOs of his level is going on Joe Rogan's podcast smoking weed? Right? He's doing this on purpose. It's not like
SNL.
Yeah, exactly. He knows what he's doing, right? So his ability to stay relevant within pop culture, I think, has been extremely helpful and beneficial for his brand as well. This is my just opinion on the situation.
Yeah, I love it. They loved the case study last week, so I figured we have to do it again this week. Great job again.
Appreciate it. Let me ask you a question. What's the most 5 destructive forces in our community today?
Systemic racism being number one, mistreatment in the medical system, especially for newborn babies and Black moms that are delivering. 3, the justice system. I think we can all agree unanimously that it has not been fair to us for, 300-400 years. Drugs and violence being pushed into our community, and rap music being used as a tool of influence in a negative fashion. And I'm once again, I'm diehard rap fan, huge Tupac fan. MC Breed was the first tape I bought. Scarface, Nas, Foo Snickens, AZ. But there have been a bunch, especially me being from the Midwest, seeing what the Chicago drill scene has become, the stuff that happened in the 90s and early 2000s in the Midwest, like Northwest Indiana with 50-50 and grind. Like, there is some destruction that has happened as a result of rap music being played and some of the messages. Like, you haven't heard of a shootout happen at a church convention because Kirk Franklin was there. People can say whatever they want to, but like Hezekiah Walker, nobody brought out an AR and lit the place up because of the music that was played there.
Well, there's also a reason why in certain countries you can't even listen to music, right?
That's true.
You go to a lot of these Middle Eastern countries and different things in nature, their music is either censored, limited, or it's not pervasive the same way that it is in America, right? Because music is a way to control the minds of people, and for positive or negative, right? So when you start to really study the frequencies, and even Kanye was talking about this on that Drink Champs episode, I think they took down, but there's certain frequencies that you really could tap into.
Absolutely.
And when Travis Scott, when he's playing these songs 30 times in a row, at a certain point in time, you're in a trance now.
You're in a trance, for real. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in a trance. Like, if you're told to do something, like, you might not even fully understand what you're doing in that moment. It's like being hypnotized almost, right? So it's like when you're listening to, if you're listening to drill rap over and 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 over again, you don't think that has a effect on your psyche, right? I mean, how could it not? How could it not? But that's just one aspect of it. But like I said, we'll have that conversation with Royce as far as the music. But I love music, grew up on it. And it's helped me a lot as far as the type of music that I've listened to, the messaging, the inspiration, the motivation, even vocabulary. I've learned some words from music and stuff like that. So there's some good things, but I just feel like lyrical reform is needed on a certain, especially for young kids. Like, you gotta be careful with what you feed in your children's brains.
Is reform going to come if we don't own the culture, and if the asset that is being produced degrades our community, though? No,
it's not.
Yeah.
But think about, like, what other culture has such negative, like, you don't hear Japanese anything like with just such a negative Japanese tone, right? Like, I hate this Japanese person, I'm gonna kill him when I see him, it's up, You don't really see, when you don't see it, Saudi Arabia, them having communications that are prevalent for millions of people to hear, telling how much they hate each other, and then like, I just popped your girl, it's up, what I'm saying, I'm smacking moms when I see it. You don't, right?
Yeah, it's true.
That's why I like Afro beats, because it gets back to the vibe. It's just good vibes. It's music. It's
the energy, dancing. Yep.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like R&B music, because sometimes I just want to hear a frequency. I just want to just vibe. I like rap too, but I just have to limit. I have to limit how much rap I'm listening to, or the type of rap that I'm listening to, because after a while, like, it's just like, it kind of lowers my whole frequency. My whole vibe just kind of like gets brought down sometimes.
You see, Dame, on Patrick Bet David talked about that rap has been taken over by COINTELPRO.
Dame Dash said this?
Yeah. I mean, he would know. He one of the biggest labels of all time.
Yeah.
So, you recently issued an apology on Market Monday. Did you get pressed like I did?
About the girl situation?
Yeah.
Well, it's one of these things that, went viral when I said that the young lady had asked me for rent and I didn't give it to her and I blocked it. A lot of people felt a certain way about it, but I don't think that they fully understood the whole story. There was more to it, right? It wasn't the first time that she had asked for money. Like, she was in Asia a few weeks prior to that, and asked
Black China? No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
And asked me for money to get home. I don't know how you get to Asia and don't have enough money to get home. I don't
Maybe
know how
she went with, got mad and put her out.
I don't know how you plan on moving, but it's like, I apologize if I offended anybody, but I'm never going to be a sucker. That is not. I don't care who gets offended by it, right? Like, and neither should you.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between asking for help and trying to take advantage of somebody, right? So when I felt, and they're like, well, why aren't you having a conversation? It's kind of like if you see somebody that's like in your DM with a scam, like, oh, I'm stranded in Zimbabwe right now. Send me $500. You're not going to try to rationalize with this person, right? You're not going to have a conversation like, hey, why are you doing this? You shouldn't be trying to scam people. You're just going to ignore the message, or you're going to block them, or you're going to report them, right? So
yep.
I'm not going to, once I've identified that somebody thinks that I'm stupid, or they think that I'm a sucker.
Yep.
And they're trying to actively scam me, I'm not going to have a conversation with this person. For what? Yeah. I'm not going to try to rationalize and explain to her why. No, I'm also not going to curse her out. I'm not going to call the police on her.
Yeah, because you're not mad at the hustle, but you can't fall for it.
I respect your scam, but it's not on me.
Yeah.
You could try it on somebody else, and if they go for it, then hey, all power to you. But I'm not going to waste my time having a conversation with somebody who I've identified as a scammer, right? I'm just going to block you. So that was triggering for a lot of women, but I think that, like I said, I didn't think that they had a full perspective on it. They just thought that, and then they're like, well, it's a casual vibe. What does that mean? Well, it means just that I'm not obligated to give anybody money, right? Just like you're not obligated to be a casual vibe. If you don't want to be a casual vibe, you don't have to.
You have to be.
Vibe. It's just that. It's just
remove yourself. Yeah.
I mean,
and this other part about it sucks about amassing wealth or being known. How many times do you have people who ask you for money? And I've said it before, they wouldn't do anything for Nas if you begged them to do it. And they're not going to pay the money back. Like I keep saying that you can give your way into poverty. People are like, well, no, if you give it, it's always going to come back. It didn't come back for Hammer. Hammer's doing well, but it didn't come back to the level that he was at for all the help that he gave.
That's a fact. And another thing is that these, like, the person, right? When he's like, you asking me for money. This person has never did anything. So they're like, well, you could lay down with somebody. That's implied, but let's just go with this, that is actually true, right? We got to get out of it. Like, if a woman makes a conscious decision to have intercourse with a man, they're getting something from that too.
It's mutually. I had that conversation too.
like
you're getting some out of this equation too.
Or you wouldn't be doing it. There's some level of enjoyment. There's some level of satisfaction. You're actually getting something out of this too, right? So that's a false narrative within itself. Like, well, you could do this, but you can't give her money. No, because you didn't give me money. And cook me no meal.
See.
You call me an Uber. It was raining. I ain't see no umbrella. So no. But it's like, I don't owe you. It's not like you're doing something that's like, okay, this is my service to you, and no, because it's actually a mutually beneficial situation. Just from just that standpoint, right? I don't think anybody really thinks about it from that standpoint. It's a give and take situation here.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you cleaned it up well. In that same vein, have you been able to identify when betrayal is going to come from a friend or in business? And if so, what are some of the signs that you see? And like, is this tough to deal with as wealth and fame and notoriety has been achieved?
For sure, man. You know, the craziest thing is like the people that you help the most are the people that will hurt you the most. And like I've talked about this several different times, but it's like nobody, it's unavoidable, right? Nobody ever looks at what you did for them.
Yeah.
They look at what you didn't do. Right. This happens multiple times.
Hundreds of times. Yeah.
You could set somebody up. You could introduce them to fucking Mark Zuckerberg. You could, bring them to whoever, the governor of New York's house for a luncheon.
Set a family feud.
All kinds of stuff, right? But then it's like they see you do something for somebody else, and it's like, damn, that's supposed to be me. Damn, why now I'm not getting treated, bro? You're entitled because he did things for you that nobody even was required to do.
Yeah.
There was no even requirement. So no matter what, you should just be happy that somebody actually took the time to pour into you to help you, right? And then from there, you do what you want with it, right? But this is why you got circle gets smaller.
Yeah.
Right? Circle gets smaller. And it's like, for me personally, I'm not just going out of my way trying to help people anymore. That can sound bad.
It sounds bad, but
in real time, this happens over and over and over and over and over again. So it's like, nah, I'm not helping. If we're not doing business together, if we don't have a mutual beneficial thing, no, because you're not going to be appreciative of it. And eventually you not only will you resent me, you're going to try to hurt me.
Yeah.
You're going to try to hurt me.
Yeah.
These are people that we only have helped, right? The other one thing, people have felt the way about the way that I dress. Sometimes they say, my delivery is kind of arrogant at times.
They say your delivery is rough.
Arrogant.
I gotta be.
There's a variety of different things, but nobody can ever say that we hurt anybody. We've only helped. Every single person that we've come into contact with, we've only helped. I've never called the police on somebody. I've never told somebody not to work with a person. I've never tried to sabotage a person's business practices.
Yeah.
I've never, tried to ruin relationships. We've only helped people, right? So it usually only happens with men. It usually only happens with men. So that's why I understand when Dame was like, he's only working with women.
I agree. Yep. Because if a black woman tell you something, it's out of love, and you really messed up. But men get sensitive over things that do not matter. And also to men, like, for example, like if you go meet Robert Smith and post a saying, why didn't you take me? Say, hey, bro, next time, if you go meet Bob Johnson, would it be okay if I go? Everything's about approach. You're not obligated to, but approach matters a lot.
But you know what's so crazy? Like, people, you work your whole life to build something. People get mad that you didn't do something for them. You never helped me at all. Going back to the girl situation, right? Like, let's take this platform, for instance. Right? So we build Earn Your Leisure. We build these shows that we have, Market Mondays, Blackout. Somebody might be offended that they haven't been brought on the show, right? And then they'll like start to argue with me about this. But I'm like, well, A, I'm not obligated to bring you on a show.
Yeah.
That took 5 years to build. 2, you've never done one thing for me.
Yeah.
So you mad,
repost.
You won't even like the picture. So you mad at me for not giving you an opportunity to do something when you've never done anything for me. This is why I'm not helping anybody anymore. If you're not a kid or a young adult or somebody that we actually are in business with,
Yeah,
no,
it's tough.
I'm not doing it. There's enough help. We already give help. Watch Earn Your Leisure, watch Market Mondays, stream it. That's mentorship within itself.
Yeah.
For me, actually, physically, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
Could you deliver it in a kinder tone so it's not perceived as arrogant? It's something I have to work on endlessly, so I get it.
Well,
at this time, until 2029, no favors will be granted
until further notice.
Yeah,
because like I said, it's a repeat. It's a repeat offender. It's repeat offenders, right? So it's like you be a fool if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Somebody keeps spitting in your face. Eventually, you're gonna be like, all right, let me walk the other way.
Yeah. But the pitch competition, that's a good form of being able to help at where things have to be.
We always gonna get help, like I said, but it's just like as far as me physically, like, you know, we physically walk people into rooms.
Yeah.
Like physically walk people into rooms. Physically made phone calls to people to introduce them. Like these are things that we did that nobody would ever know about, right?
Yeah.
Those days over with.
Then they don't want to give up another on the back end. Why you need equity? Why you need what?
But yeah, we still gonna help people pitch competitions and you know, education and stuff like that. But I ain't walking nobody in a room no more.
Well, since you're not gonna walk them into a room, what like 5 marketing tips have been most effective to help the audience grow and scale their business? Since you are a helpful person. Well, see how you lit up. Shawty love the people. Shawty love the kids. You know what I mean?
As far as marketing, it's always about, you know, being. How can you be completely different than what everybody else in the field is doing? That's our approach. I can only tell you what's worked for us. We looked what everybody else was doing. We did the exact opposite. That's extremely important. From the way that we dress, the way that we talk, the communication, how we curate the content, it's 180 degrees different from what you would see on Bloomberg or CNBC. Those were our direct competitors at that time. There wasn't a bunch of financial influencers that was black in the space. Consistency is extremely important.
Yes.
So, you know, we every day, social media, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, post every single 3 hours.
Like clockwork. Yep.
You want to create memorable moments over and over and over and over and over again, right? So it's like, okay, you know, we've done so many things, but it's like, okay, Royal Albert Hall, then we do Madison Square Garden, then we do Invest Fest, then we have Tyler Perry come, then we have Steve Harvey come, then, you know, then all these different things are memorable moments that, because it's like the never deliver strategy where you're never delivering on your product, but it's like a movie that never ends. It's a clip. It's a cliffhanger, right? You never want the movie to end. So just when you get to the point, it's like, I'm gonna announce something else. I'm gonna do something else. Now I'm gonna do this. Now I'm gonna do this. Now I'm gonna do this. And then to the point where people always anticipate what's next. Yeah, that's what you want. You want them to always anticipate what's next. You never want to leave them for long periods of time just with no, you know, anticipation, nothing going on. Then they kind of the public is so fickle that they'll lose you.
Oh, absolutely. You have to almost start over.
They'll lose you. And I think, you know, other topics as far as like, you know, cross collaboration is a great way to market.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we've done stuff with you. This is a cross collaboration effort, right here, right? We've done stuff with Revolt. We've done stuff with
Steve Stout,
United Masters. Yes, we've done stuff with Chase Bank. We've done stuff with so many different things. Even this year at Investors, I haven't announced it yet, but we got some other collaborations that we're going to do, right? Where it's never a thing of just like trying to do everything yourself. Yeah, like I'm
too tough.
Trying to let's see how we can come together. It's only going to make everybody bigger. Yeah. So that's another thing. Like we real big on that. And even if you look at rap, like the biggest musicians, they've always done that. At one point in time, Jay-Z went on tour every summer with a different artist, whoever the biggest artist was. He went on tour with Eminem. He went on tour with Mary J. Blige,
50 Cent,
of course, Beyonce. Yeah. Every time he did that. Kanye West is another one, right? Like he's attached himself to different movements.
Mm-hmm.
From Rockefeller, then he got with Common and did that whole wave. Then Pusha T, then that whole wave.
Kid Cudi, yep.
And Kid Cudi, then that whole wave. Now with Drake and that wave before they fell out. Now it's Ty Dolla $ign and that wave. Like, you know, you gotta always, and of course Drake has always done that his whole career. From Little Baby to you name it, right? He gets these up and coming Migos. He jumped on the Versace song early on.
Yeah.
So you got to attach yourself to up and coming energy, and not be afraid to notice who's out there that's actually, you know, shifting culture.
Yeah, I love it. Dead or alive? If it was one person, well, let's do not alive. What's one person who's passed that you wish that you could have had the chance to interview?
Nipsey Hussle. Well, I'm wearing Marathon right now. Shout out to Black Sam and Adam and JP and the whole team. But, you know, when we first started Earn Your Leisure, there was 3 people on the vision board to interview. Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Nip. Those are 3 people that we identified early as like we want to interview. Yeah. Of course, Dame, that's, you know, become the bro, and we've interviewed him a bunch of times. Jay, we still waiting on the Jay interview. That's going to crack the internet. But Nip, man, and I know it would have happened obviously because it's like, you know, it's crazy how things happen, bro. Because, you know, Nip really meant a lot to us, and to me, it wasn't just he's more than just a rapper. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's a lot of times I listen to rap and I know that it doesn't mean anything. It's just rap. Yeah. I listen to him, like I listen to his interviews more than I even listen to his music.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And it was like, you know, and just listen to the Victory Lap specifically, and that album, I just really got into it because I'm like, you know, I know it's not just rap. Like, you know, he reminded me of an era that I actually grew up in, and it was just so different. I never go to shows. I'm not a show person. Troy goes to shows all the time. I'm not a show person. But when he came to New York, he did his show. And I came. Troy had tickets. We all came. And I saw him perform live.
Yeah.
And that was a dope experience because I was into the music. And then I saw him in person. That was the first and only time I ever saw him. I saw him in person, and I was just in the crowd. We wasn't on no VIP.
Yeah.
We purchased tickets. We went into the line. We did the whole thing. I was in the middle of the crowd. It was a small venue, Urban Plaza, standing room only. And I just enjoyed the experience of actually seeing him perform live. And then shortly after that, you know, unfortunately he passed away. But it's crazy because we never got to meet him, but we literally have not only met, but established great relationships with every single person
around him. Yeah.
Brother Black Sam to his whole team, Cobby Supreme, BH, Pac-Man, man. And then, of course, the last part of that was actually meeting and interviewing Lauren London and then developing that relationship.
Yeah.
Her, right? And all of them connected on the same thing. Like, I mean, Jay Stone, Adam, we met every single person. We've met everybody.
Yeah.
We all said the same thing. Like, yo, Nip would have fucked with y'all. Like, he would have definitely fucked with y'all. Like, he would have loved the shit that y'all doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So rest in peace to Nip, man.
God bless his soul, man.
That still bothers me, man, because, you know, he didn't deserve that. Like, he ain't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody deserves to get killed, but he didn't deserve that. And I just feel like he was on the verge of really just going crazy.
Yeah, man. Real estate. He was one of the big, like, ambassadors for crypto before it was popular. Like, man. Yeah, he had a promising career ahead of him. God rest his soul.
What about you? Anybody that you would want to have?
Oh, you already know, man. Tupac.
Yeah,
Tupac. But also, like, his brain. People have to realize, like, it's 7 albums, 7 movies in 5 years. Like, so his branding, marketing, he's about to try and bring the East and West together. So, like, I wanted to really be able to talk about the business stuff, some of the trials and tribulations, of course, and how did he overcome being betrayed. Like, I think eventually, if he would have lived and Big would have lived, I think they would have made up once they got all the noise outside of their camps and all of the bullshit. You know, I think he's just iconic, revolutionary, spoke his mind. It cost him in some areas, but in terms of like building a brand, man, he set the world on fire in like 4 or 5 years.
Nah, Pac was 25, I think, when he died.
When he died, yeah.
Big was 24. So it's like, you know,
it's crazy. And Big was about to launch Brooklyn Mint. Like, Big was ahead of the game too. Had the label situation pop. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it was. That's a very unfortunate situation.
Crazy.
We lost a lot of great ones in hip hop, man.
Going back to Is It Destructive?
Exactly.
Then the masters get bought for nothing. Y'all re-release 92 albums off of them. Y'all mismanaged Kemp, like all the destruction that comes from that. Like, then you cross-collateralize the projects and do all your music industry games. Take his ideas and run with them. Take Tupac ideas and run with them. Put the Outlaws to the side and use that marketing plan for different groups. Like, this shit is crazy, man. It's crazy. Jay Prince goes down. Irv goes down. Like, come on, man. I don't think any of this is by coincidence.
Nothing is. At some point in time, we're gonna have At some point in time, we're gonna have to have a real conversation about Diddy, because watch that interview that we did at InvestFest. Watch the interview. We talk about conspiracy theories a lot.
Yeah. Watch
the interview. The timeline of events are interesting, to say the least.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that, because it's still an ongoing situation, and I don't want to be insensitive. But at some point in time, wherever they do a look back on this situation,
yeah,
that moment at InvestFest is part of a documentary.
Absolutely. That's why I kept saying, get the licensing fee ready, because they're gonna try and use it.
No, it's part of a documentary. It has to be.
But if you go from 1980, starting with Solar Records, Death Row, Murder Inc., Bad Boy, Rough Riders, Master P, Cash Money. Is it Cash Money the only rap label that still exists?
Like, as far as black?
Yeah. Look at all.
I mean, you got
even Easy.
From that era.
All the biggest hip hop acts and labels that sold the most records are all defunct now. Just think of it as an investor. If a sector after 6 years always failed, but they brought in $2.5 billion, they said Shook and Death Row alone was worth $2 billion in the Interscope. Now he's in jail, and then Reggie Wright ran it, and like, you mean to tell me 15 hip hop labels went under while building up the industry? As it became number one, none of us own any of it. Like, come on, man. What do I know?
If you watch that Death Row documentary, at the end of it, they Pac died. Suge went to jail. This is when Suge went to jail the first time. They Suge went to jail. Pac died.
Right, yep.
All the other people in Death Row that ended up dying that were not well-known people. Like, a lot of people in Death Row died.
Yep.
And they Jimmy Iovine got super rich. The one
between the Easy and the Death Row drama. Not to cut you off. Then Jimmy sell off. Shout to Trey for exiting too, and then Jimmy sell off and ride into the sunset.
Yeah, and I'm not even necessarily nuancing it down to him individually, but I'm just saying that's a structural thing. It could have been any exact, but it's like the black people die, they go to jail, they get their name thrown in the mud, and the white executive gets a $50 million bonus, and the corporation gets the intellectual property back.
Yep.
Shook owned his masters. He doesn't have it now.
Nope. Even when they said the Tupac estate sued Drake.
Well, we're threatening to sue.
Threatening to sue. His sister's been blocked out of the estate for 5 years. Rest in peace, Faye. Like, this is done on purpose. Like, and also because most people in corporate don't care about hip hop, there aren't many laws to stop this from happening. Go look at who runs Tupac's head of a state. Him and Faye were not close how everyone acts like they were before she passed either. So,
yeah. Well, let's talk about the 7 levels of financial freedom, shall we? Let's show this diagram if we can, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, there you have it. So let's talk about this 7 levels of financial freedom chart.
I think you get to the 7th level if you steal some labels and masters real quick. But I do want to ask you, if a person doesn't have breathing room or stability, like what can they do to get to that 6th or 7th level from the conversations you've been able to have with Robert Smith and Steve and Tyler, etc.? Like what are some of the patterns that you see?
Well, let's go through each one of them. I think it's so. The first one is clarity, right?
Yes.
Where it's like you just identify where you're at currently, and you identify where you want to go. That is actually
very beneficial.
You're actually already ahead of the game.
Yep.
70% of the people. 70% of the people don't even really even know where they're at financially, or where they want to go. Right. Mm-hmm. So having that ability, that's why meditation is extremely important. Having some level to just, calm down for a minute and think things through. Clarity, very important. And then self-sufficient, where you're actually able to cover your own expenses without outside support. Right. And then the breathing room.
Key.
Breathing room this is when you really start to pick up momentum, where you can actually, you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. I would say at this point in time, you would have probably 6 months of liquid expenses saved.
And reserves, yep.
So now you get to the point where you got $40,000, $50,000 saved, right? So now it's like, okay, I can breathe, right? If something happens today, I'm okay, right? I'm not okay forever, but I'm not living paycheck. Because when you live in paycheck to paycheck, it's very difficult to think clearly because
long term
you're in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in survival mode, it's extremely difficult to process things, and you can justify anything when you're in survival mode as well. So that's why you never want to be in survival mode, or when you're in survival mode, you want to get out of survival mode as quickly as possible. Yeah, you hear this once again. This is permeated in a lot of things that we kind of grew up in, right? Where it's like, I had to do what I had to do. My daughter got to eat, right? Well, what does that mean?
Yeah,
your daughter has to eat, so I got to die. You know what I'm saying?
Or you could have made better choices along the way, knowing spending all your money at the club for 4 weekends in a row could have led to devastation.
But that's a survival mode, right? So
yeah,
and then stability. So now you're not living paycheck to paycheck, but you have no bad debt. You're fully funded your emergency fund, right? No debt, fully funded your emergency fund. Now you're stable, right? Yep. Flexibility is
the key point. 2
years off, right? I could take 24 months off. I'm good, right? I got $200,000 saved in the bank. I'm good. I could take 2 years off if I want to.
Yeah.
Right. Financial independent. Now you can pretty much just live off of your assets.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that's real estate, whether that's stocks, whatever.
Crypto. Yep.
But now it's to the point where it's like your assets, worst come to worst, you can live off of that. And then abundance on the wealth side is when you have more money than you'll ever need. So
yeah,
the key to get to that point, I think, it's all through investing, right? It's all through investing and making early sacrifices early on. We talked about this before. Keep your expenses low.
Yes.
Ways to raise your income. Invest as much money as possible, because then you start playing on multiple games, right? Where it's like, okay, if you get to that million, now you double that million to 2 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you double that 2 million to 4 million. Now you double that 4 million to 8 million.
Yep.
You just need one more flip. You double
your expenses low.
You get to the 10 digit. Once you double the 8 to 16, now you're out of here. Now you just now you're out of here, right?
Yeah.
Now that next flip is 32. The next flip is 64.
It's levels, yeah.
The next flip is 108. You're out of here at that point in time, right? But you might not ever get to. So really, you got to get to 8. But you might not ever get to 8 if you buy the big home, if you go on 30 vacations.
Yeah, you buy the big cars.
Watch. If you have a $500,000 wedding, because you're a millionaire, right? You're a millionaire at 1, 2, 3 million.
Yeah.
But you never get a chance to get to that point. So now that could hinder your ability to ever get to that last level. It's like a video game. You got to get to the last level.
So when you don't want to get a casual vibe, the rent money, it was a bad investment because that's what you could have spent in media or Nvidia, right?
Facts.
And people joke and say, no, well, you have it. I didn't get it by giving it all away.
And somebody wants to take it from you. But there's no sympathy when you lose it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Mill has said this, like, when you back at the bottom, they're going to treat you like you're worthless. Nobody's going to have sympathy for you when you don't have money no more. Like, if you have money and you lost it, they're not going to loan you any money
at all.
They're not going to treat you how they once treated you when they thought you had money.
Yeah.
When you back at the bottom, they're going to treat you like you're worthless. So don't try to take advantage of me when you didn't help me get it.
How much as a millionaire should you loan out per year? If we made it like a budget item, I know my number. Mine's changed dramatically.
I mean, loan is a tricky word. I would say give, because I don't even expect to get money back. If I'm giving money, I'm just going to give it.
Yeah.
And like I said, bro, I'm not really giving too much money these days. I'd rather employ you. Well,
that's it.
Get this W-9 form. Let's
figure it out.
I'd rather have you on payroll.
Yeah.
At least I can get a tax deduction. And I can actually find something productive for you to do. Whether that's cleaning the house, whether that's, whatever it is, right? I'm sure there's something that you can do that's beneficial as opposed to me just giving you money. But to answer your question, I would say, 10 is max for me for the year, though. And that's just emergency. Like, I don't want to have to go to that level, but I ain't giving out more than 10,000.
Yeah. Listen, I moved my shit down to a $1,000.
1,000?
It's over with, finito.
Well, about 10 is like my max.
Max, yeah.
Hopefully I'll stay way underneath that.
Yeah.
But as far as like the 30, I need 30,000, I need 50,000.
I had none for you. I'm sorry.
I'm blocking your number. That's
sorry.
I'm blocking your number.
I get 2,500 for no. I'm sorry.
But the 500 play, all right, cool. 1,000 is crazy though. 1,000 for the whole.
I've given, and then got nothing in return, and then people gave me their ass to kiss after. I'm like, yo, I could have just saved this shit for my. And it's the crazy part. People will ask me for money that my child has never asked me for, when he can have all of it. It's like, yo, if Xander asked me for 2,500, yeah, y'all won't even repost the fucking link to join Stock Club. Why you need 25? You could get the 25. Get an affiliate link. I'm cool. I tried it. I've done it. I've given out. I could have bought a Maybach with some of the shit I gave away. I'm cool. No hard feelings. No mas. No mas.
Let's talk about what's up in Mississippi.
Yeah, this is crazy. I was looking at this article earlier, and since 2016, 215 people have been buried there. So, like, when some relatives have been calling from the correctional facility to find out about their loved one, they're not there anymore.
215 people have been buried behind a Mississippi jail since 2016. Allegedly, this is what an attorney is saying.
Yep. Kudos to Attorney Crump for bringing this issue up, but Mississippi is Mississippi, so I'm not surprised. But this story isn't getting national coverage, and it's been happening for damn near a decade. Like, today was the first time I even heard about it. So I think these kind of stories, especially in the Deep South, we still have to talk about them. I mean, shout out to the kudos to the families they've been caught up in this, but I don't think there's enough media attention on this, and I think it would only be right if we brought it up. But 215 people is a lot. If it was 3, you can say it was a conspiracy, but 200 people, that's a lot. And who knows how they could have passed as a result to be placed there as well. But next week, I want to dive into Antarctica and the deep lakes.
Antarctica play.
The mountain
play go crazy. The Antarctica play goes crazy. I want to hear more about this. All right, but without further ado, we talked about rap, but I want to get it from the first-hand perspective of one of the dopest lyricists that ever really did it
of all time.
For sure, somebody who's went bar to bar with Eminem, Slaughterhouse, legendary rap career, and just a great dude when it comes to Detroit. So we talked about some issues with rap, but I think that we unite the family because we are a huge hip hop enthusiasts, and that's the only reason why we're so passionate about having some level of correction when it comes to hip hop. If we didn't care about it or we didn't listen to it, then we wouldn't even have a perspective on it. But being that we are so vehemently passionate about the culture, we want to bring Royce the 5'9" up.
Yes.
And let him talk. Royce the 5'9". What's up, my brother?
What's up, my brother?
My brother, I appreciate you. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's an honor to be here, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All good.
I love what you guys are doing.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. So, all right. There's a few things I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing. We have to. But before that, let's talk about a topic that we covered, myself and Ian covered last week.
Yeah.
I'm kind of paraphrasing, but has rap music been as destructive to the Black community as drugs, as a drug epidemic? And I think
all my rapper friends were so mad. Myself
and Ian, we both kind of agreed that if it wasn't as detrimental, it's been just as detrimental as the drug epidemic. Now, you as a master of ceremony and an MC, I'm sure that you have a different point of view, right? So it's always good to hear people that actually do this for a living and their insight in this. So what's your point of view on this situation?
Okay, well, I definitely disagree with it being up there with drugs. I disagree with it being detrimental. I think when we had these conversations in an attempt to fix something that we feel is broken, that we really don't have much of a frame of reference to go off of. These are assumptions and opinions for the most part. And I feel like hip hop is it's an easy target to go after. If you're somebody who just kind of wants to start up a dialogue and kind of identify with what you feel the problem is and be on the side of the people that want to do the right thing. And most of the guys that talk like that, with the exception of you guys, of course, most of them aren't really doing the work. And I just feel like that conversation, that topic is starting to become really counterintuitive because it's getting to a point where people are just repeating talking points. I feel like I'm pro greatness. So to censor somebody is to limit a potential for greatness. I think if you had a censored Ice-T back in the cop killer days, the doors that he opened up when he was just standing up for his right, his freedom of speech, his constitutional right. And I also think that that's one of the reasons why freedom of speech is so high up on the Constitution, priority-wise, is because of the importance of it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like all rappers rapping positively would be definitely a breath of fresh air for somebody that's older, like myself.
Yeah.
But it would just be, a whole bunch of garbage, positive music being made, and nothing would change. If you want to change the murder rate, you want to change the environment. You know what I mean? Like, people kill in proximity to each other. I think, Ian, you referenced somebody going to somebody's grave, going to somebody's grave. None of that shit goes on in the real industry. Like all of that shit y'all are talking about, that's like internet phenomenon shit to me.
When you say real industry, what you mean?
Okay, well, is there anybody you can probably name a few?
Mainstream rap? Mainstream rap, you mean?
Not necessarily mainstream, just people who do it for real, artists. Like, is there anybody that you can think of that pops into your head when you say that's an artist? That's somebody who they're dedicated to their craft. They're dedicated to doing this for a living. Because
I think Vaughn was on his way.
Yeah,
God rest his soul.
King
Vaughn
comes to mind.
you think Vaughn was on his way?
Yeah,
I think he was a mainstream artist.
Okay, so cool.
He was almost there. He was like
So
right on the precipice, right on the peak.
So I follow King Von too. So King Von, in his interviews, his early interviews, he told you that he just started rapping in jail. He just decided to just start rapping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like something to do as a means to get away from what he was already doing. He's a gang member. He was a gang member that was killing people respectfully. That was killing people, and hip hop was their way out. So what ends up happening is it gets brought into the culture and placed in front of people, and him being somebody of influence, hip hop has to take the hit for everything that goes on. All we are is the vehicle. We're the opportunity. You know what I mean? So I don't think that that's a detriment, because I'm sure that there's a lot of upside to him becoming mainstream. I seen where he was helping a whole lot of people, buying people's stuff.
Absolutely.
Who knows what he may have turned into?
But Royce, let me say this. Let me ask you this, because you obviously are a very intelligent person. So you're looking at it from a critical standpoint, right? But you bring up the First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? But as Black people, what level of responsibility do we have with our speech, right? Because me and Troy spoke to this guy. I won't say his name, but he was a music executive, like very well known in the music industry, and he was Black. And he said something that was very insightful to us. He said he doesn't let his children listen to music, rap music. And he was a rap executive, right? And I'm like, well, why would you not let your children listen to rap music when you make a living from rap? And he said, because when white kids listen to rap, they know it's entertainment. When Black kids listen to rap, they think it's a career path, and they think like this is an actual documentation. It's different, right? So what level of responsibility do we have? Because we know that people listen to music and they emulate what is being
imitate what happens,
imitate, and they emulate what's being said, right? So knowing that there has to be some level of responsibility placed on an artist, as opposed to just saying it's just free speech.
Yeah, well, that's definitely not what I wasn't implying, just like a free for all, because I'm definitely on the side of all of us having a responsibility when we are afforded the gift of having a platform. I just think that I don't think that we give our artists, the youngins, enough room to grow and for improvement, because I wasn't super aware of like that responsibility early on. I was like reckless. I was like a loose cannon. And like that part of my creativity is kind of like what molded me into, being a more calmer, polished, seasoned, like nobody comes into the game like that, because we're coming from a particular environment that I think a lot of people kind of lose touch with that environment when we've been removed for a long time. We forget how it is to be in their shoes.
That every day. Yep.
And it becomes very difficult, number one, to be able to communicate with them, because I think all of these fall in the responsibility category. Your ability to be able to communicate with the environment and understand the environment, so you can speak about it from a more informed place than just like an indictment, or like a coming from a place of judgment, because there's a lot of things to consider. It's a psychology. This whole thing that we're talking about is a psychology. There's a reason that people spit pain in their raps. DMX had a crack addiction.
Yeah.
So it was like all you were gonna get from him was pain, but greatness. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really dictate when he embraces his responsibility and puts that in front of his freedom of speech. You know what I mean? Me in my older age, man, like that's one of the reasons why I haven't put out an album yet, because I'm thinking about shit that I didn't used to think about. I got
Yeah.
thoughts in my head that I didn't used to have before, and sometimes I hate it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, and I think that's why they try to get artists when they're young, because it's like the ignorance is bliss type shit. Like the more information you take in, I know so much now that I wish some of it I wish I
You
just
didn't
didn't even
know.
know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like, man, you got daughters and you considering how you look, and how they view people on a certain floor in the music business and in the building. None of these things that you used to know about. You know what I mean? So I think we need to give them a little bit more leeway and don't be as hard on them, because whose job is it to differentiate if it's being glorified or if it's just somebody painting a picture? It becomes subjective. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I
So
think one thing that was missed out of that clip is me putting responsibility on the labels, because I remember when you had conscious rap, backpack, almost equally marketed. Now it's like damn near drill or nothing.
no, I don't agree with that. I mean,
Why?
I think that because the internet made it so where it's like you got mainstream, and then everything else just kind of falls into a niche subculture category, and it's to the point now where every human can just basically curate their entire existence. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be cornered and marketed to now. You know what I mean? You can get away from anything you want to get away from. You can escape anything. So if I never want to hear another Travis Scott song again, I don't have to listen to it again. You know what I mean? So a lot of the rap that people feel may influence kids, you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to listen to it. And just like you said, that how your man said he don't let his kids listen to the shit. He's like, that's it. He has a responsibility to parent your children, because this is just just a business, and it's just entertainment.
But I'll say this, speaking from firsthand experience, right? Speaking from somebody that grew up listening to hip hop, right? Like, I remember when Mobb Deep's album came out, I thought Prodigy was the greatest rapper of all time. Like,
Me
Facts.
too. Me
I
too.
almost got into fights
That
because
94, 95 year, boy.
if anybody saying anything
Fortune.
about Prodigy, I was ready to fight him. So I understand firsthand how influential and how unescapable rap music is. Like, even being a parent, you can't really stop your kids from listening to rap, because they're gonna go to school, they're gonna play basketball, they're gonna be with their friends, and even if they're not listening to it, the influence is just so influential. It's impossible to really.
I don't think that's the way it should be handled as a parent anyway. I don't think you should like forbade your kids from
No,
listening
but
to it.
I'm just saying, as far as like, it's like the Charles Barkley thing, right? Where Charles Barkley was like, I'm not a role model, right? Parents should be role models. But what I'm saying is that hip hop culture is so influential that no matter what you do, if you're black, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to escape it.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of negativity that has been permeated through hip hop culture. Gangs, for one, drugs, for two. Women, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But the way that men treat women to the way that women portray themselves, right? Like, if you have a daughter, like, look at the examples that's being set for her. So
And that's being financed by not to cut you off, but it's being financed by the labels. That's
right.
the bigger point we were making initially.
So it can't be, it's not like one side against the other side. We need our rappers, because they are the language
And the
of
voice.
our culture, right? But I just think that at a certain point in time, we just have to be honest as well, right? We have to hold our rappers responsible for a lot of the negativity that they've helped inject in our community. And if we
But
don't,
is that a rapper issue or a label issue?
it's a rapper issue.
Let me ask y'all this: Who else is responsible? In your opinion, who else is responsible for this? Like, are we holding Hollywood to the same standard?
Well, here's my thing. I don't think Hollywood is as influential as music, but you should. But nobody's even watching movies anymore, right? Like,
But back in the day, though, when Boys in the Hood and
no, it was. But you listen to music. I listen to music even now to this day, all day long. Like, music, especially back then, music used to help me get through my day. So I'm listening to music while I'm in class. I'm listening to music while I'm playing basketball. I'm listening to music. I'm not really watching movies 24 hours a day, right? So the impact that music has, I think, is different. And it's a rhythmic beat. you remember the lyrics. I don't think you really remember whole entire movie scores, right? So I don't think that Hollywood is as impactful to kids, to adults, to anybody as music is.
Well, is music? Are we talking about? Did we introduce the gangs to the hood, or did the hoods introduce the gangs to music?
So here's what I said. Here's what I said on the episode, right? Where I said hip hop didn't create gangs. Hip hop didn't create promethazine. Hip hop didn't create a lot of different things that have negative. But what it did do is accelerate the growth.
Amplified it. Yeah.
So gangs was already in South Central LA before hip hop was even probably created. But when Snoop Dogg put the flag on and start crip walking, and that's when it explodes, right? So Drake was already in Houston, Texas, right? But when we hear DJ Screw and then we see, UGK and all that, that's when it explodes. Percocets was already an epidemic in America, but when Future makes a song called Molly Percocet, it accelerates the growth, right? Yeah. So now it's like you're putting it on steroids, and now you're just accelerating the growth of something that they didn't start it, but they definitely helped accelerate it.
So we're not okay. So the conversation is not about where it started; it's about us accelerating.
My initial point was the labels are financing it, same as they did in the crack era. I'm going top down always.
They're financing it the same way that they finance positive music.
Right. I think
at the same clip.
Huh?
At the same clip.
Well, I think labels are just going to invest in whatever the streets are asking for. That's what the labels are going to get behind.
Okay.
I'm not one of those guys who feels like that the labels are controlling the narrative and controlling what like they're programming the kind of music that we're listening to. Like they're straight up. It's even worse now than it used to be. There was a point in time where there was a such thing as that executive who had like free reign, or was in a position that he could use, or she could use his or her discretion or foresight to sign somebody who don't have a buzz, who just had the big voice, that was sitting on the corner, may have been homeless or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's like a beautiful ending to the story. Now it's like all we want to look at is the metrics, and everything is kind of like the way the deals are done. Everything is based off of like a math equation with inaccurate numbers. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
like it's not really that much about A&Rs and CEOs are signing music whether they themselves like it or not. They don't. It's not like a quality control thing where people are apprehensive about putting their names on things. It's just like if it's going to be successful, I'm with it. And children adopt the same philosophy. If it can be viral, I'm with it. There's always going to be the genuine, original, and then there's going to be a whole list of people who follow behind them and try to emulate it, and are the kind of like the carbon copy version. And those are the ones that give it a bad name because they end up in a bad spot. But I just don't think that I don't think that we should generalize so much. Like there's no way to fix the stuff that you're talking about without addressing the problem first. Because hip hop is not the problem. The problem is the problem. Hip hop, yeah, I'll say that it can accelerate some things, but it accelerates everything in your life and in your existence. It accelerates the great things too. You know what I mean? People listen to music in all capacities. There's people who've gotten into beautiful marriages in the club, and they got like a favorite song that's their song. You know what I mean? It's all about how you process the music. But this whole theory that because somebody is talking about violence and that's all they know, and they're painting a picture based off of what they see every day, that everybody is just going to listen to that, and this is going to turn them into that same person. Me personally, as a fan, I've been influenced by a lot of people. I've talked like rappers. I've been influenced by a lot of movies. Like I used to have like I used to fantasize about being a hitman. It was just like fun to me. The fact that I knew I would never be a hitman, but standing in my mirror with the fake gun was just fun. It was fun to just imagine. But talking about it and actually doing it is two totally different things. And everybody is on the net talking about what they're gonna do, what they've done. but it's not really like that in the real world. Would y'all agree that the internet is like a completely different world? Like meta is a whole different place from reality?
It's merging. It's merging though.
Really?
Like I feel like internet, social media, and real world reality is kind of getting closer and closer to becoming one of the same, right? To the point where your online persona is what's more real, your online persona or the real? Because you're on your telephone more than you're in.
You're really outside.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or you got a bunch of goofballs that's not tough, but they're acting a certain way online. But now they want to keep up that image and persona.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's young people trying to find themselves. You know what I mean? And I think that the more the reality side, the outside integrates with the internet side, the more that happens, the more that these guys are going to be kind of like forced to shape their image up a little bit. Like when you know that you got to bump into people, when you know you got to run into people and see people outside, it's less of a chance that you're going to be on some troll shit like you used to. If you feel like you got to see people after you do that, then then that's like anything else where there's a repercussion. Every little kid seen the fire in the fireplace and was interested in touching it.
But you feel like nowadays there is no repercussions, right? Because now you don't have to. That's what I'm saying. You don't have. Previously, you're right? I would have to, if I said something crazy in Source magazine or whatever. One of these days, I'm gonna actually run into somebody. Like Rick Ross says, one day we gonna meet. But now there's no repercussions to say anything crazy on social media or on Twitter or on Instagram because nothing's gonna happen. You're never gonna see anybody in real life.
No, some of them addresses getting doxxed.
But I'm just saying.
I think to invite that kind of energy in is just a mistake. And I think people, I don't think a lot of the guys realize that until they actually do it. Because when you see somebody else doing it and it looks like it's working for them, and you're not really that well versed at what you're looking at, you may subscribe to it because you feel like that you got to do as the Romans do, but it'll come back to bite you. Negative energy is just negative energy. No matter how you spin it, how fun it looks. Like people talked about Tekashi 6ix9ine at my studio so much, and I try to tell people like, yo, it's just a short-sighted thing. No, but he winning though. That's subjective. You know what I mean? Like, that's subjective. I mean, he's seeing some success. He put out some songs that shot to #1, and that's subjective. Shit shooting to #1, that's subjective.
Yeah,
it's a certain amount of views and spins. That's subjective. All of that shit is subjective. All of that shit can be doctored. You know what I mean? But at some point, you are going to have to face the music and be the person that you say that you are. And if you can't step up and be that when it's time, then, that's when the trajectory just changes. You can't fake it. You can't fake it for long periods of time. And it's always been like that in hip hop. It's not just because of the internet. I mean, Vanilla Ice. Have y'all ever went back and looked at like Vanilla Ice, like footage and interviews and shit?
I did last year, matter of fact.
Bro, listen, it was way worse than I thought. Like, look at it as an adult. Like, he was a really like obligatory, like really, really misappropriating the culture. Really, really misappropriating the culture bad. Like, he was lying and saying that he was from the hood, which I don't believe that you should even have to do.
Yeah.
He was straight up lying. That lets you know that like the place that the culture was in back then. Like, it was like you had to be from the hood in order to be a rapper. Like, these guys lying and scared to be themselves. You know what I mean? And as soon as somebody pulls the wool from in front of everybody's eyes, then they just disappear like that to never even really be talked about again. You know what I mean? So like, we the only culture who anybody can come in and get money. You don't even have to be as authentic as you used to have to be. Like, Drake is in a full-on battle with Kendrick right now, and people don't even care that he don't write all the raps. You know what I mean? So
allegedly.
No, it's not allegedly. It's
yeah. The Yachty reference came out. I was like, damn.
Little Yachty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that
Yachty masterminded that whole last album.
But listen, that's not an indictment on Drake from me. I like Drake. Drake, but I just find it interesting that people move the goalposts around like that when it comes to him, because you can't really compare two people who approach it two totally different ways.
Yeah.
Like, is Drake great? Yes. You can't say he's not great, because then you're hating. But is he a great lyricist? I don't know. But lyricism, being a lyricist, that's a subjective thing. What I consider some as a lyricist, it may be different for you. But when you start using terms like lyricist
Yeah.
to describe somebody, you're talking about somebody's pen, like the technique, the way they approach the art form. He makes great music. He makes great music, but I don't know how much of a savage lyrical beast that he is, because I don't really know how much he participates in the process. I'm hoping that he participates as much as his core fans think that he does.
Yeah.
But I don't have to question that with Kendrick. I don't have to question that with Eminem. I don't question it with myself. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be secret codes that we stick to. There's always going to be creative boundaries. There's going to be creative integrity. I would never ask nobody to write a rap for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do that. Like, somebody asked me, a MC that I held to a very high regard, when I first came into the game. Like, I came into the game fearing him lyrically. He was the scariest rapper ever. I'm not gonna say his name, but I ended up working with him years later, and he asked me to write his rap.
If I guess it, what you said?
Nope.
So
That's
what happened when he asked you to write his rap? What did you say?
I told him, man, you got this. You got this. Like you the God. You got this. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to give him some encouraging words, because I think he was just in a space where, once you get inside your own head and you become self-conscious, man, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's over with.
Greatness,
Writer's block.
Greatness out the window. You know what I mean? And it's like, we've seen it happen so much over the years. As soon as the artist starts to second guess themselves, so that's why I don't think that censoring them should be on the table, because it's like, as soon as you start messing with the creative process and people got to like think extra, they don't want to offend this person, they don't want to do this, it slows down productivity, and it limits things. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like a lot of great things have come from the evolution of hip hop. A lot of great things have come from it. See, Dolores Tucker was stomping on Tupac CDs on TV. You know what I mean? They thought hip hop was the most detrimental thing to the culture back then. But I disagree. I think history has proven that that's not necessarily the case. If hip hop is the biggest influence over your children, then I got to question the environment that your children are in. And I got to question what is your influence over your children? Why is Snoop Dogg teaching my kids how to be a man? You know what I mean? And I subscribe to the whole I think I told Snoop this. I was like, man, you had me out here talking about I don't love these hoes, man. Come to find out, you had a wife the whole time.
On a more positive note, hell of a businessman. I know people don't always talk about it. He built a bunch of successful brands, Prime, Bad Meets Evil, your own individual brand, but things end well with Slaughterhouse. What's the toughest part about working in a group, and what are like some of the top lessons you learned from that breakup for the people who are watching, who are looking to form partnerships and find the right people to work with?
Forming partnerships are easy to do, but getting them to work is extremely difficult. Because it's just like when we first jump off the porch and we go jumping into relationships, and we think that we're ready to be married or engaged or just be in a relationship, until we realize, damn, I never was taught how to be a husband. I'm not so sure that that's what I know how to do. You know what I mean? Because there's really not a handbook for it. So I never looked at like some of my mother-in-law's habits. I never looked at like, are they keeping a clean house? I never examined like her relationship with her mother versus her relationship with her father, her mother and father's relationship with one another. Like, all of these are things to consider. It's the same thing when you're doing partnerships with people. I think unfortunately now in business, people it's just instant gratification thing is kind of like taking over. So it's making people a little bit short-sighted, and people are kind of apprehensive about the long play. And for me, it's no quick way to build anything. It's no quick way to get rich. It's no quick pathway to success. So
Yeah.
I think anything like that is a process. Anything that involves building something is a process. So to just jump in business with somebody for the sake of saying that you have a partnership, that's always going to be tough. In the situation with Slaughterhouse, our common bond was the position that we were in the business at that point. All of us had like similar stories. All of us kind of approach the art a certain way. We were all have all been victims of shit evolving creatively in the culture. And like, when I first got signed, lyricism was in the forefront. Like everybody had
Yeah.
to know how to rap. You know what I mean? Like everybody wanted to be rap good. You know what I mean? And that changed. People start figuring out a different way to approach it in ingenious ways to simplify things and add melody. And like it's been through a lot of. It was a point in time where it was like everybody was doing like a dance to go with their song, and it was just like all of these different hoods and environments across the country, the way that they do it would start being in the forefront. 3 6 Mafia, I remember them from a long time ago, but they got put in the forefront way later, just like the whole Atlanta scene, just like the
Yeah.
whole chop and screw scene, all of these things we knew about, like you said, but it had its time in the forefront. Now Detroit having its time. Detroit street rap, that was always a thing. It was
Yeah.
always street rap versus the hip hop backpackers in Detroit. We always broke that up in two categories. And so the youngins that you hear now, they grew up listening to the street rap from my era. You know what I mean? So it's just unfortunate that the street rap from my area, it wasn't that time. From my area, it wasn't their time at that time. It was our time. Because Marshall had got his deal, so the industry was looking at Detroit for lyricists. So we had our time in the forefront. Now the street rap is in the forefront. So back to Joe and them. So I didn't really have an understanding of how they did business. I just kind of went into it hoping for the best because I felt like we had a common bond, and we didn't know each other either. So that's another thing. Actually being able to complete something with somebody that you don't know if you're gonna be able to connect with just on a personal level. And I think we ended up getting lucky in that sense. Like we lucked up. Like everybody connected and jailed with everybody pretty easy. Everybody was like good friends. And I think that's what kept us together for so long. The fact that we just liked each other so much as people. I got that same relationship with Eminem and DJ Premier. Like there's no doubt in my mind that we can get in the studio under any condition and create something good because of how well we just vibe together as people. I think
Yeah.
the vibe is everything. So we developed a formula. We had a certain way that we did things in Slaughterhouse, and then over the years, personal agenda kind of like started to get in the forefront a little bit, which is to be expected because we came into the situation as solo artists. So we all kind of put our personal interests to the back burner for the sake of building something. So once we had it all the way built, I think people in the group start trying to figure out ways that they can use what we built to kind of like springboard into what they originally wanted to do with their solo careers. And sometimes when you're that invested business wise with somebody and you're that in bed with somebody in terms of business, the things that they do outside of what you guys built together sometimes can affect what you guys built together. So time started being more of the essence. It started becoming difficult to get all on the same page in terms of everybody being ready at the same time to record. Communication wasn't always the greatest. There was a lot of times where people had feelings but just didn't bring them to the table, like Crook.
Yeah. You got to talk. You
Like
have to
Crook didn't
express.
bring he didn't bring his feelings to the table. So it was like no way for me to like help him power his way through that, because when you decide not to talk about it, then you are automatically left to your assumptions. And if you just start assuming things, you assuming what I'm thinking, you assuming what Joe is thinking, you assuming that somebody's looking at you a certain way, or you assume it just causes more confusion. And I think when they made the last move that they made, I think that was just something they had their mind made up on, and I wasn't privy to it. So I found out about it when it came out, just like everybody else. And obviously we took it personal because we all put the same amount of effort in, the same amount of time in, and it just went against everything that we even agreed upon. Like we had like code, we had like a code of like bylaws in the group, you know what I mean? And we agreed that no decisions would be made on behalf of the group unless at least three people voted and agreed.
Mm.
You know, two people shouldn't be able to come together and decide to announce that the group is over. You know what I mean? Like, who said that? Like, we never had that conversation. You know what I mean? So you just decided that you're just going to end the group because you feel a way about something that you didn't properly communicate with somebody. I mean, it's just it's tough. It's a tough thing to kind of understand. But it's like I love the dude so much. It's like I kind of had to force myself to kind of like try to understand where they're coming from and put myself in their shoes. But my initial reaction was just me as a human. I was hurt. You know what I mean?
Heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking on a personal friendship level, and it's heartbreaking on a business level when you made so many mistakes in the game, and that was like the first thing that I actually built that I could say um organically that that's mine. You know what I mean? Like before that, I had just, went in and did like little deals with different labels and just kind of help build what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like when you're money grabbing like that, you can't really build yourself. You know what I mean? So Slaughterhouse was the first long play. It was like the first time I went 8 years focusing on building one thing, you know what I mean? And not, going from album to album, different label to label. Cause I never put out a solo album on a major label ever. People think that, but I haven't. You know what I mean? So um somebody like him has been on Interscope the whole time. So it's like you can build it when you're in the same place and you're not moving around. But if it's like you just moving around, taking money from this person, taking money from that person, eventually you'll get tired of the money grabbing and you'll see that nothing really is coming from it. And then you'll be willing to just take the time to just build. And we all had the same amount of patience in the beginning. I think the patience just started to wear thin as we got older. And that's just kind of what happened. But it's a it's a blessing that it lasted that long because I've never seen it historically happen and last for that amount of time, let alone somebody being able to get an album out. People are always going to see other talented people and feel want to collaborate with them. That's like a
Yeah.
natural creative thing. But wanting to do it and actually bringing it all the way home is just it's tough. It's hard to even put a tour together with somebody, let alone share the same tour bus and make albums together where like we got to come up with a formula and we got to kind of like put our egos to the side and do things for the greater good of the situation as opposed to thinking about yourself. And that was tough for me to do in the beginning, but we adjusted to it.
Royce, my brother, thank you for joining us, man. Let us the people know what you got working on, man. You got any new projects or anything coming out?
Yeah, I've been taking it slow, man. I'm one of those guys who I pivoted out of the pandemic really slow, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been taking it slow. I've been recording, but I've been working on some content stuff that's probably gonna fall more in the lines of TV, but I'm not ready to
That's
announce it
fire.
yet. So I'm down another rabbit hole. My previous rabbit hole was producing, beat making. Now it's like editing and creating stuff. So I've been like getting cameras and I totally redid my studio completely different from the last time y'all
Okay.
was here.
Okay, gotta stop
So
by.
now it's like every room is like curated to my vibe and being able to shoot and create content in every room and utilize the whole facility to be able to create stuff and mentoring the youngins. And I'm doing a movie score that I can't talk about yet either, which is taking up a lot of my time.
Okay,
And then I got three little girls. You know what I mean?
that's a full
Yeah.
time.
Fatherhood. Yeah, it's a full-time job in itself.
They so demanding, bro. It's like I work for them. And
Yeah.
I like watching, man, because I went, consistently didn't take breaks. I just kept going, going, going. I like to, just chill and reflect. I'm not one of those guys who feel like I need to be speaking all the time. Sometimes I like to just be quiet and listen to what everybody else is kind of like doing and make some assessments, and then use that to make some future decisions.
Yeah, I appreciate you, my brother. And we pro rap for the record. Before you go back and tell everybody, we are pro rap.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Look, it's no denying that hip hop has been the most important, at least for me.
Me too.
My motivation as far as everything that we've done. So but it's like I just like to have. It's like a family member, right? Like you might not always agree with your brother, but he's still your brother. Like not like we don't disown hip hop culture like we are. We couldn't even if we wanted to.
We couldn't do it.
Wanted to separate.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm ready for certain things to not be in the forefront. I definitely agree with y'all there. I'm ready for it not to be in the forefront, and I know that that's gonna naturally happen. So it's like I don't want to tamper with that. But yeah, I got to not listen. I got to not go online sometimes. You know what I mean? Because it's just too much BS in the forefront. I don't like it. I don't like that kind of energy. But there was a point in time where I was into that type of thing. So
we know
something. I think it's just something that you gotta kind of grow out of. It starts off as like a necessary ignorance, and then you start realizing that there's more layers to yourself, and you just start seeing the world different if you can survive that long. But
that's a necessary ignorance. I never heard it like that, but that's a fact.
Because
it's needed sometimes.
We got to be self-aware. We got to be honest with ourselves. We got to be able to take in certain things without being able to like not let ourselves off the hook. I don't want to feel guilty about listening to a Sexy Red song. I like Sexy Red. I like her.
Well, me too. What's your favorite song?
Do I want my Well, I don't like her. I don't follow her like that. Because I'm an adult. She make music.
Come on.
She make music for kids, but I like her. I like
as a person.
I like the idea of her.
Got you. Okay.
I like the idea of her because
the favorite songs is crazy. The favorite song.
Because she's
singing "Rich Baby Daddy." So come on, let's not play.
She authentic, and I think that's why she's continuing to last. You know what I'm saying? Like she's authentically her. I believe that she's that, and there's a lot of girls exactly like her in her neighborhood, and it's no different from when I saw Boys in the Hood for the first time, and I was like, yo, I didn't realize this is what was going on in Cali. You know what I mean? It was almost like, wow, it was like a shock, because I thought everywhere was like Detroit. You know what I mean? So it's like all of the hydraulics and the 6'4" Impalas and all of that. I was fascinated by all that shit. You know what I mean? So I like seeing different people from different cultures and shit like that. I think it's necessary. I think it's a necessary spot. I think stripper culture is a necessary culture. I think all of that shit is a necessary culture, because you look at woke culture, it's just as fucking detrimental. It's just as detrimental. Right. You know what I mean? You interviewed the vice president. That's detrimental. That ain't all good. That's it's like, because like the first thing she said when she got in front of the microphone was, racism don't exist in America. That was like the worst thing you could ever, as a black person, get on a huge platform and lie for the greater good of your position and within politics. I'm gonna always vote for the black lady. You know what I mean? Like, always vote for him. But I just don't. I think there's a lot of things that's detrimental that we kind of like turn the other cheek. You know what I mean? So hip hop is like the only thing that we blame, that we stay fixated on, because it's an easy target, because there's nobody really to defend us. You know what I mean? It's nobody to defend us or put things in its proper perspective, because the OG like super brains that are running around out here, they don't really have a full understanding of what they're looking at. Like buying jewelry and all that. People don't understand. If you're a money guy, you're not gonna understand the intrinsic value of Nas's QB chain. Like there's a value that comes along with that that's separate from what he paid for the actual gold. Like everything is not about, in case I want to sell this jewelry. Everybody don't want to sell their jewelry. Some people want to use it as a token. No different from if my dad gives me his ring that his dad gave him, who his dad gave him, and say, get this to your wife, and then unfortunately, like knock on wood, my dad passes away. Give my wife that ring. My wife is gonna take that ring, and it's gonna mean more to her than some super expensive diamond. You know what I mean? Or what's the best investment? It holds a value that only you can determine what it is. And I think it's the same way with jewelry, with some of us. But if you look at some of these like documentaries or like little pieces that they put like on MTV, and they talk about the worst spenders in hip hop and how hip hop blows money and all of that. A lot of that shit, they just don't know what the hell they talking about. Like that one meme where it's got like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and people are like,
no Gucci belt in
all of
sight.
this money and ain't no Gucci
Yeah.
belt, not a Gucci
Yeah.
belt in sight. Like, what the fuck? Who cares, bro? Okay, so they can't dress. Big deal. You know what I mean? That's all I say. It don't mean that they don't spend a lot of money. They don't waste a lot of money
In other areas.
Yeah, it's like, man, we the only ones that can't be human beings, and we know the least. We've been given the least amount of information, and we get held to the fire for it. You know what I mean? Like at least we putting ourselves in positions with limited resources to gain some sort of revenue. We just got to work on the whole solidarity part and controlling the flow of the money. That's gonna come in time with a lot of education, but there's no environment that we come from where we'll learn that.
No, it's a
The
fact.
beauty supply store was normal to me. The Chaldeans owning the liquor stores, all of that was normal to me. I never was able to put that into perspective.
I'll ask you, the artists really want to learn though? Because I would say probably 98% don't give a damn about that.
I think people don't give a damn or don't want to learn about anything that they haven't learned already because they feel like it's going to be a deep dive. So they get apprehensive and they kind of turn away from it. But at some point, it's something that's going to have to be addressed in a way where people don't feel like that they being alienated. You know, because if y'all the only money guys, you know, and if Hove is another money guy, but he way over there, so you got the Rockefeller niggas over there, then you got Suge and them over there, then you got Puff over here getting indicted, then you got it's like nobody might as well make money. You know what I mean? Because the wealth gap stays exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? Like all the money that people be reporting that everybody is making, and it's like it don't even matter. It don't even matter because it's just like we're not controlling the flow of it, and we come from environments where it's to our advantage to be self-serving more so than it is to look to unify with broken people. You know, it's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Well, my brother, I appreciate you coming on and providing us with some excellent insight.
Yes, sir.
It's always good to get, you know, a different perspective than because you know you get to think about things differently when you talk to people. That's the good thing with talking to just in life, right? Someone has different perspective than you. They might have different life experiences, and by them providing their insight on it, it might actually change the way that you could potentially think about things.
Yeah, man, we not all bad people.
All right. Well, another glorious blackout.
Yes.
Our guest, Royce the 5'9". Shout out to Mike and Troy behind the scenes.
Appreciate y'all.
And appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule weekly to chop it up with me. It is a greatly enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
Therapy.
Yeah, some of the best therapy we've had. And I know some of these things are brought up, but as you grow as an entrepreneur, these are things that you're going to go through. Like I never thought some of these issues that we are talking about now, we would go through 2 years ago, but here we are. So we're just trying to help everyone in the audience not go through them as you gain your fame and fortune. And, you know, we want y'all to be happy and have wealth and not go through some of the stuff that we go through.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Blackout. We'll see you on Monday for Market Mondays, and next week, same time, same place. Tap in.
Rapper, stop DMing me. I love y'all. Waka, stop. I love you. Come on, you my guy. It's too many of y'all. Mickey Facts. It's a few. Hey.
Shout out to Mickey Facts.
Yeah, shout out to Mickey. Love y'all.